Hey everybody, today is, what is today, actually? I know it's Wednesday, but December 6th.
First day of the rest of your life.
First day of the rest of my life? No. I called the meeting of the former life. Well, of the month. There are still about 6 more meetings left. But I call the meeting of the Hudson Industrial Development Agency to order. Mrs. Drew, please take the roll.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Brian Wallace,
Present.
Heather Campbell,
Present.
Kamal Johnson, absent. Dominic Moranti.
Here.
Cheryl Kazluka.
Here.
Randall Martin.
Here.
Richard Wallace is at a funeral, sorry.
And we have Mike DeMasi from the Albany Business Review, Troy Weldy from the Columbia Land Conservancy, and Carol from Gossips of River Street. Rivertown.
All good. Hey, Troy. All right. First order of business, I need a motion and a second to accept the minutes from both the October 18th and November 1st meetings and place them on file. Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. I need to suspend the meeting to go into the audit committee. Can I please have a motion and a second to do so?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor? All right. Sir, it's all you.
Okay, so the audit, in the audit committee, we have to do the engagement letter. So do you want to have Chris review it, or we're good?
So maybe Michael can, because I did not.
You can see, as you know, the firm that we had used previously was acquired by RST. They had been going through that transition last year when they did the audit. The audit's the same price as last year at $6,000. We have other accounting firms doing other IDA work at the county level where there was an 8% increase. And for the complexity of the IDA now with the number of transactions and deals, I would have thought that perhaps it might have gone up more. So the same team, Victor Churchill and who is the partner, and Patricia Brennan, are still going to be on the audit. I would expect at some point they would rotate just because auditors, when you get in a bigger firm, put someone on it after every 3 or 5 years, so they can, so you're not having to, getting someone to look at it with a fresh look. So I would recommend that they've done a good job in the past. They've been timely. They worked well with Lisa. That we re-engage them for this 2023 audit.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so can I get a motion to accept the engagement letter to engage with Churchill? Was it Churchill?
It's RBT.
RBT.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Chair, it'll be a recommendation.
Recommendations to the board. Yeah,
I'll make the
recommendation to
motion.
the full board.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the 3 of us. So it's perfect. Yes.
That's so I could jump out, right?
Yes, you got it. Motion for adjournment.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
You need to do the minutes,
Second?
Oh, yes. No, you need the minutes first.
sorry.
Okay.
So we have the minutes from the
Okay.
April 5th.
Okay, so can we get a motion to accept the April minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Now we can.
So can I get a motion to jump out of this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass wrap.
All right. So we're resuming the regular meeting of the IDA now. Next order of business is the CEDC contract. I had a chance to review. I'm in full support of this. There was a modest increase in price over last year, which I think is well deserved by the CEDC. To Mike's point, given the volume of business that they've brought to us this year, you all know also that we had a bond deal that went through, which is not our normal course of business. So the added layers of complexity, as Mike pointed out, I believe warrant it.
And when we started this 7 years ago, we were charging the $10,000 as an annual base fee with a 10% of any fee that you received up to $10,000 as a pay-as-you-go when you had projects. And we haven't raised it in 8 years.
Yep.
So, and, I think, that whole process worked out well, that, when we did that. So, it's, for those of you who are new or haven't looked at the agreement, we went from 10,000 to 12,500. We're doing the same with the county IDA, where they had been paying us $24,000 a year for the base service. And, we thought this was a better model because you're paying us for the administrative services that will occur whether or not you have a project close or not. And then when you have a project that closes, we have more work to do to get that to completion. So the additional fee is paid based on the closing.
Any questions from the board members? All right, can I have a motion and a second to, or are we voting? It's a vote. So can I get a motion and a second to do a roll call vote, please, to accept? Sure.
So that fee, that's inclusive of the attorney fees?
No.
Or attorney fees?
No.
The attorney, the
Just trying
developer,
to understand.
well, what happens is the developer pays a 1% fee to the Hudson IDA.
Right.
And then you're going to pay us $12,500 a year to provide basic administrative services.
Mhm.
And because if a particular deal closes, we get 10% of whatever the IDA receives with a cap of $10,000.
Think of it this way. It's basically ballpark $1,000 a month to ensure that we have their services available to us, which is everything from the administrative elements, preparing the packets, hosting the meetings, the tech and all of that. So it's pretty low overhead in terms of.
Well,
the
yeah,
OpEx.
but that's inclusive of, if any legal fees are.
No,
Okay,
Chris's fees
So
are
let me
separate.
explain. So we have a separate engagement with you.
Correct.
Gotcha,
We always
okay.
have. And so through our engagement, we have an hourly fee and so for general services, it's hourly. For fees that relate to the projects, the development of projects, we ask the developer to place funds in escrow with the IDA. And then the IDA uses those funds to pay us like the planning board. So there's some, I would say, more modest fees that are incurred for general purposes and also for this North Bay project, because you're selling your property. And then the others are paid from the escrows.
Okay, I just wasn't
Yep,
clear.
that's how that works. Yep.
That delineation, okay.
Chris, trust me, Chris has offered to work for free before, but we just couldn't do that to her. So, any other questions on the CEDC contract? All right, can I get a motion and a second to put this to a vote to accept, please?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Perfect. Mrs. Drahushik, roll call vote?
Heather Campbell.
Aye.
Kamal Johnson.
Aye.
Cheryl Kasluka. Randall Martin.
Aye.
Dominic Moranti.
Aye.
Richard Wallace is absent. Brian Wallace.
Aye.
It passed.
Thank you again, Mr. Tucker. We look forward to
Thank you
continued
very much.
business.
We appreciate the confidence that you place in CEDC.
Brian, you need to go back to the minutes.
No, we did that.
No, the RBT. We did the minutes. You didn't do the RBT.
Yeah, now we'll do RBT, right? Okay, so following up on the audit committee's meeting, the audit committee has recommended that we vote to sign the engagement letter with RBT for the 2023 audit as required by the state ABO. Can I have a motion and a second to put that to, actually first, any questions? No? Can I get a motion and a second to put that to a vote, please?
Make the motion. I'll second. Oh, okay.
All in favor? Aye. All right, Mrs. Drahushik?
Heather Campbell.
Aye.
Kamal Johnson.
Aye.
Cheryl Kasluka.
Aye.
Randall Martin.
Aye.
Dominic Moranti.
Aye.
Richard Wallace is absent. Ryan Wallace.
Aye.
Carried.
All right. Next order of business, and I would be kidding myself if I said I wasn't as excited for this one because I think this is a project that's been a while coming, and I think it's a very good thing for everyone involved. Is the CLC North Bay deal. So we finally received the seeker. Chris, could I ask you to review the findings were a negative declaration, but Chris, is there anything that you would like to point out within the seeker?
Yes, so this is for the acquisition of the project because it involves also the plan to build a trail. We included that analysis in the IDA's review. We treated this as an unlisted action, and so the IDA is taking its own action. Later on in the process, when, if we close with CLC, they will have to undertake reviews of their plan, and that will have to be done separately. But the actual, it won't be done by you, but they will have to do further permitting, when they actually locate where the trails are gonna go and, how they're gonna be constructed and so forth. All those specifics are gonna have to receive further approval. But for your purposes, we needed to include the possibility of the trails. So therefore, that's the disturbance of the acreage that is being discussed here. And what the CLC prepared the part one, and they prepared a draft part two for you to consider. And the draft part two indicates that no or small impacts may occur. The part three has some details, even though those are all identified as no or small impacts. The part three has some details to help you analyze why that is and what the issues are. And so the CLC has, I keep wanting to say CEDC, so.
Just all the acronyms in one.
Yeah, has indicated that in particular, they will be not, when they do the planned trail installations, they will be avoiding the wetlands, obviously. They will be making sure that they're not affecting threatened species. They're going to be seeking all the appropriate permits as to those, so that if they, for example, if they have a particular ego or other type of installation, they're going to have to avoid that and preserve that. So those are the bases for the findings that are proposed, and then you have a resolution to approve a negative declaration.
Excellent. Questions from the board members?
And this is in connection with the transfer of acreage at the waterfront.
Sale of acreage.
Sale of acreage at the waterfront to the Columbia Land Conservancy for a trail.
Excellent. Chris, do we need a roll call on the seeker, or do we,
Yes.
We need a roll call for the resolution,
For
but
the
can we just, we can't do blanket
Well,
for,
the resolution is to adopt the neg deck. That's all
right,
it is.
right. But do we have to accept the seeker and then vote to roll
Because the
call?
resolution does that, it identifies it
Oh,
as
so
an
just one.
action, it's just one thing.
Perfect.
All in one big resolution.
All right, we had to mark this too. I just wanted to confirm, that's all. We may have a motion and a second to vote to approve the, see, that, it's like, okay, you've got the seeker and then you've got the seeker resolution, but
Well, the seeker is a discussion, because you want to
Correct.
have a full discussion of what the basis for the resolution is.
Correct.
Yep.
can I get a motion and a second to approve and to accept and approve the resolution via a roll call vote?
Or make the motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mrs. Strahushik?
Heather Campbell.
Aye.
Kamal Johnson.
Aye.
Cheryl Kasluka.
Aye.
Randall Martin.
Aye.
Dominic Moranti.
Aye.
Richard Wallace, absent Ryan Wallace.
Aye.
Carried.
And I would just like to report too that at the next meeting, we will be probably considering the purchase agreement. We have gone through that with CLC's counsel. And I think we resolved the form of that. One thing that they've asked us to do is include a clause that says, you remember that we said that CLC was going to be developing trails and that there'll be a deed covenant to require recreational use. So they said, if we were to sell it to, or convey it to, I should say, a government agency, for example, DEC, if they were to, as part of a bigger conservancy project, want to convey this trail to them, they've said that they found that it's difficult to do that if there are covenants like this on the property, so they want the deed covenant to say that it would go away if it's transferred to a public entity. So, and Troy's joined us to maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, thanks. We're excited about this project, so I appreciate all the work you all have done here to move this forward. We do a lot of conservation easements and sometimes also deed restrictions associated with that. And I always tell people forever's a long time. So when we look at such things, we're like, well, what might be possible down the road? And, what I have presented to our attorneys, in 30 years, let's say the city of Hudson has a parks department and they decide they want this property. we would be open to, potentially to transferring that to them, but they may not want to do so if there's a deed restriction like this on there. Certainly DEC and the AG's office would not take property that have such deed restrictions on there. So again, forever's a long time, just wanting to look forward in regards to that. If there is at some point in a future date, a public entity that would want this land, but would continue to honor the idea that this is for public recreation, this is for nature. CLC, may entertain such a transfer and just wouldn't want a deed restriction to tie that up. So we're just looking for some flexibility that would allow us that opportunity. Again, there's no plan for such a transfer to happen, but just trying to look long-term.
Comments, questions from the board? Okay.
So we'll
Thank you,
proceed
Troy.
to finalize the purchase agreement with those terms and the rest of the terms that we discussed, which is again $1, subject to the notification procedure that we're in the middle of. You may maybe recall we're in the middle of this notification procedure that would allow one of the leadership to say we aren't comfortable with this transaction. Right?
We did have one inquiry about the information that we had submitted, and that was about a month ago, and we submitted it right away, and we haven't heard back from them. So
And that was from ABO, right? Okay.
Are we still in the process of waiting for the AG and the
Yeah.
controller? We're
Yes,
still in that process.
because the way that the legislation works, you have to, if you're so far into the legislative session, you have to wait until the start of the next legislative session and 60 days after that. So we're still in this waiting period.
Okay.
So, yeah.
the legislature adjourned in June, so you have to wait, either they're called back for a special session or till they start on January 8th.
Right. So, but in the meantime, we'll get the paperwork done.
You don't want to shoehorn it into the special session on the Santos replacement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Troy,
Troy doesn't
anything?
want to change it.
No, exactly. Troy, anything else to add?
So this Saturday, we actually are having an event in Hudson at the WIC, and if there's no objections, I'd like to mention this project as something that we're working on and to begin to generate some excitement and buzz in the community about that.
I think that's great. So, and I know Carol's here as well. And I just want to also just for public discussion, so to speak, thank you in advance for your efforts to work and partner with the folks with the dog park to make sure that those trails are also going to be pet friendly and that we're really kind of convening two really great public access points for everybody down at the waterfront.
Looking forward to it.
Thank
Great.
you for mentioning that, Ryan.
You're very welcome. All right, Mr. Tucker, may I turn it over to you to deliver the project updates?
Yes, we have a long list of projects. Some are completed, some are in progress, and some are under consideration, and some haven't even been thought of. Starting with the first one was obviously the Land Conservancy transfer, and the second, the SEC 7 project. They are operating. It's the group that bought the Old Town and Country Market and are producing meals there for their commercial sale on a wholesale basis. And they've invited the IDA, either any of you to stop by individually or organize an outing. We also have been working with and monitoring the progress at the pocketbook factory. You can see there's a lot of work going on there now, and they are getting close to finalizing their financing. Is my understanding?
The end of the year is
By the end of the year.
And that was, I'm sorry to interrupt, they changed lenders, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And so we have already closed on our pilot structure and our project finance agreement. So they have a certain set of financial assistance tools, but they were working to close to their construction. So
Okay.
And so, I think that's a very positive sign. Many of you were at the Galvin Depot District project groundbreaking. They've changed the address or name of that project, but it's the affordable project. They are still in discussions with the state about the low-income tax credit project. And they will be coming back to the IDA most likely in January to give us an update on where that project is. We have had, we reported previously that the county was approached by the owners of the WIC with respect to the sale of the WIC, and the county IDA, which did the deal originally, has approved allowing because the agreement was assignable, the purchaser to step into the shoes of the WIC for the 4.5 years remaining on the financing documents. The initial group that was in negotiations with Redburn Development have backed out, and there is someone, they're negotiating with another prospective purchaser. It had to do with issues that Marriott was demanding in order to.
And they're only the operator though, right?
Yeah, well, they the hotel is privately owned. They have a
Right.
franchise contract with Marriott, but they had some requirements that the original purchaser was not familiar with and not able to undertake.
Not that I would expect you to know this, but is there a way to negotiate out of?
Marriott?
Yeah.
Well, I think the WIC and the parties are negotiating, and I think that it will ultimately be sold because, as we discussed before, Redburn's primary business is apartments.
Correct.
And they don't have any hotels, and this is a distraction. The CAS project has not come to the IDA, but they did receive a $1.5 million grant from the state as part of the Regional Economic Development Council process for a net zero energy building. You'll remember the Basilica is also received a similar grant, so both of the buildings down there will be net zero energy. And I know that Ben Fain is beginning to start to think about moving forward. I know he's had some discussions, I guess, with the city on other aspects of the project. The K&R project, the Schuyler Court and Providence Hall, we had, as you know, anticipated a closing by year end, but there were new HUD regulations that were being promulgated, and the developer had to wait till those were issued before the underwriters would begin preparing the documents and the legal opinions. The result being that they were only released, if they haven't been released yet, they're going to be released on the 15th. And so the developer who wants to renovate those two buildings and retain 150 units of Section 8 housing in the city was able to negotiate an arrangement with the seller and with HUD so that they will remain Section 8 projects until the closing can be completed in January.
Great.
And there was so we did advise New York State yesterday that the bond cap allocation that had been requested by the city of Hudson IDA was no longer needed in 2023 and could be deferred till January. And they gave us the process to go through with to reapply for those credits.
The way that works, because they're limited in what they give out every year, do we get special placement on any lists now because we're not trying to grab it
in
for
the beginning of the
23?
year, it's easier to get access to those credits.
Okay, good.
Because they expire at the end of each year. And
So this could be more favorable in the
no,
outcome.
it's easier to get. I mean,
Okay.
because we had been advised by the state that there was a particularly competitive surge at the end of the year for allocation of these credits.
Okay.
And while they, the Regional Economic Development Council gave this project a 20, and ESD was supportive of it, particularly in light of the fact that if this project did not go through, those 150 units would go back to market rate housing.
So one of the things I think that we need to be prepared to do is meet early in January about this, because I think that they're gonna be looking to have you, act on referring the IDA will get a new allocation, a little tiny allocation, but it's procedurally important to them that you turn that back to them for this project. So I think
You
you
should
have to
authorize me to
take
do that.
action. Well, I don't know that you can do that until you have it.
No, but that, when it's, I
Right,
can be given authority to do it when it happens.
right.
And also, the county IDA,
Yeah.
is going to give you their $2 million allocation.
Okay.
2024, they can
So-
2024.
So we'll need to, at the informal, make the recommendation that the next council meet very early to choose majority minority leaders so that that happens, so that representatives can be ready to
But
come
I
into the
think
new.
that you, as long as I'm authorized to do that upon the receipt of the allocation.
So I'm gonna suggest that we can take that action today, but I'm also gonna suggest that they might want to see something coming from next year. So I would like to
Okay.
have, in any event, to have this board be prepared to meet very early next year so that they can move.
Well, I think they'll have to for the bond.
I know, that's what I'm
Not
saying,
just, not for this.
both
This
of
is-
these things, but.
This
I
is
think-
pretty administratively,
Yeah.
the
I mean,
allocation.
Well, it would have to be because, our first meeting is the organizational
Council
meeting
meeting.
in January. Usually a lot of the committees don't start until February.
I know, so we need to have this one meeting in early January.
Right.
So-
And the only
That's-
thing is you have to pick a minority and majority leader.
That's what I was just saying, Dominic, is
That's
that
the
the
organizational
council will have to move up its organizational meeting in order to have a new
Yeah.
minority majority, and then that is what dictates.
Yeah.
Participation
So, and
here.
technically, you are all remaining in office at the IDA until, yes.
No,
No,
Holding over.
not if they're there
They
and their
are.
person,
Well, some of them are.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
not, if you're no longer
If
on
they're
the
not on the
council,
yeah,
Yes, but some of them are,
Yeah.
so.
everyone else holds over. Because they
Right.
haven't changed seats.
Right, so we may have a quorum, so if we had to have a special meeting,
And we'll alert the developer and our council,
Yeah.
our bond council and the other council that, we need to know exactly what they need when.
right, great, but if you're gonna close in January, you're gonna need an action well before.
The 16th or
whatever, right, so I
meeting.
don't know what if you
usually it's not
facilitate
until the
that,
15th,
I
16th,
know.
but we'll bring this up at the
See what you can do.
next meeting.
I mean, maybe you can make this an exception and get it sorted out.
Yeah, because there's also in the IDA itself, first meeting, choosing officers,
Right,
doing all
right.
that stuff
We have to
too,
do that
before you
stuff.
can get to this point.
Right, correct, so I want to alert you to that, given this project's timing. Okay.
Okay, continuing down the list, we have had, 2 inquiries, related to the J.L. Edwards School.
Okay.
One was for housing, the other was the Hudson Development Corporation. We did, you'll recall that, the Crescent project and the Ackerman or Packard building, on Warren Street received a $100 million plus grant last year for Restore New York. And they're moving forward. I spoke to them in advance of this meeting to get an update. They were delayed a bit because they were trying to see if the building would qualify for historic tax credits. But because of the nature of the changes that they wanted to make to it by adding that 3rd floor, the federal people who were reviewing it said that was disqualified. So they're moving forward with an alternative financing package that doesn't include historic tax credit.
Who's the developer?
That's Chris Curry, his group. I can get your contact.
Which property is the Crescent project is where?
They tell me,
Ackerman's building on the corner of on Warren Street.
Yeah, oh, the white building.
No, the
It's
old,
like a,
it's
like a
across from
warehousing
Social
building.
Security.
Oh, I know. what you're
Right on
the
talking
corner,
about.
right on the
Yeah,
Right on the
okay.
corner of 8th Street and Warren.
Oh, okay, that's for the store.
Uh,
Okay, I got it.
we have not had any inquiries on 1 Hudson Avenue for some time, the 16 acres back behind the Galvin ball field. Also Galvin, it's never come to the IDA, but the Galvin Hotel at 4th and Warren, as well as the community forum, which the $1 million was allocated to, Galvin for
For the state.
by the state for that project in a previous round. We understand that 601, the Elks Club, is finalizing our meetings and the planning board, zoning board meetings are like, I think one's tomorrow and we were first, so they need to come to us after they finalize that, but they're still moving forward. And David Kessler has come back to us on 620 Union, indicating that, he has put together new equity partners.
That's the ship captain's house across from Governor's?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Old age
that's what
Old age home, yeah, but it was a ship captain's house originally, yeah.
and he's looking to come back and talk to us. Obviously, his original deal during COVID, he closed, and he has a window in which he is to complete the project. And that's not going to be possible based on the time that's remaining. And so we'll, let's wait till he comes in, but he's gonna, we have to figure out whether or not the agency is willing to entertain an extension. But I think when you look at the fact that if we go back and put a timeline together and look at when he closed and when COVID developed and put it in that context, no one wanted to build a hotel.
Right.
At that point in time.
Plus, it's just shut down construction workers, so it's not like it's gonna happen anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's shut down construction workers and not any kind of work. So,
Yeah. So that's the full agenda. Not all of those projects necessarily will come to the IDA, but I do think it's important for all of you to be aware of the projects that we're aware of.
So does the board want to take a formal action to authorize the turn back of the 2024 application to the extent that we can do that? For the
And
Providence Hall project.
and part of that request that the county reallocate their allocation to the project.
Is it a turn back or an extension of due to the considerations?
No, it's not an extension because you did the allocation, the coal volume calculation goes back to the state.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
And the regional council has to meet again to review the.
To review, yeah, so the process, that piece of the process
and
starts
some of
over,
it-
okay.
Some of it can be carried forward. That would be a state level decision, but you're going to get a new allocation starting January 1.
Okay.
So that's the allocation that we're talking about.
Do you want just a general vote to, yeah, can I get a motion in a second? Motion from Heather, second from the mayor, please, all in favor? Aye.
And, George LaPointe at Empire State Development gave me explicit instructions as to how to reapply on January 1
Okay, great,
or 2nd.
thank you.
Did you say it was incremental, the allocation?
No, so you get a tiny little allocation that's based on pro rata, from the
Okay.
state, and they keep the bulk of it. And then if somebody wants to do the project, bigger communities will get a bigger allocation. They could do something with it. You really don't, it's not enough to do anything.
Right.
So it's just the way the formula works. So if you want to do a project, you need more allocation. So you need to say to the state, okay, I have this much allocation, I want
We want X more,
20
yeah.
million or whatever the number is for this project, right?
So what is the process for ensuring that the county will turn it over? Does the county the county IDA have to vote on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do.
So when do they generally meet?
We have that, we did it at the last meeting, which was 2 days ago, or 1 day ago.
And that was approved, okay.
So
Well, yeah.
they can authorize of future years?
Yes, well, I think based on what they required from us, they required a letter from me on behalf of the county IDA conveying the credits to you, and a letter from me on behalf of you conveying your
Acceptance.
Your acceptance, and nobody raised any question about.
So the vehicles are in place for the future decision.
But is that initial allocation enough for the project?
No, that's right.
They have to give you substantially more. So you are applying to the regional council to say, this is why this project is important to us. It's essential to the city. And, the IDA supports it wholeheartedly and wants the state to allocate more funds.
Gotcha.
Or more bond allocation to allow you to do that.
Correct.
So basically it shows both the city and the county's support by saying, we'll we'll shove our little amount in. It's good faith effort, basically.
Correct.
Exactly. And, to summarize, we got an unanimous endorsement by the regional council.
Okay.
Primarily because you weren't gonna lose 150 units of Section 8.
Yeah, dear God. All right, that concludes our agenda. I'd like to open it up to the board members for any items that they may have that they want to discuss. I have two. The first, I want to thank Martha Lane again, who was able to join the veterans. For those that don't know, the CEDC was critical in helping to facilitate a loan from the state to the VFW for Veterans Plot Cemetery, and that was all done through Martha and her generosity for the project, and she was in attendance. And so, Martha, thank you again for your help there. Absolutely. And to Chris, who is, this is possibly her final IDA meeting.
In person.
In person, at least, but thank you for everything. And this board, for the number of years you've been stewarding it, is a better organization for it. So thank you.
Thank you as well for your hard work and, cleaning up a lot of stuff over these past 2 years. So thank you,
You're
Ryan.
welcome.
Been a great councilman.
It's been a pleasure. This is probably the more fun side of being in office, is to be with this group and do things on a larger platform for the community. So thank you for that opportunity. And with that, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Okay, with that, can I get a
To adjourn.
motion second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Ever had.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.